Hello, Happy New Year and welcome to this week's episode of Monday Madness. I hope you had a nice Christmas, all things considered. I for one got a new pop filter for my microphone as a Christmas gift, which is why you may notice a change in audio quality. The show has been on vacation over the holidays, but we're coming back with a bang. Quite literally, because today we're going full petard. But technically I will allow anything that explodes in this episode. It seems like a good way to celebrate the new year. Without any ado, let's get into the first game. For this strategy, I opted to go for the Saracens. You can make a case for other civs as well, and I would love to hear your suggestions in the comments section for how you would have gone about this strategy. But for me, the Saracen market makes a lot of sense. With some Saracen market magic, I can get up to the castle age in a respectable 14 minutes and 15 seconds, and I immediately drop a fairly decent castle on my enemy and I start to make petards. Unfortunately for this strategy, petards produce rather slowly. The ultimate achievement would have been to snipe his TC before he even reaches castle age, but I think that feat is near impossible. Nevertheless, I managed to blow up his starting town center. But instead of panicking and resigning, he just acts cool and rebuilds it. I send in another wave of petards to slow down his archer production at the same time as I'm adding a second castle. But sadly he manages to stop it from going up, and the Doubt Castle is a success. After kicking myself a bit, I send in more villagers to finish the castle, as well as more petards to take down his CC once again. I blew up a few more of his buildings and I'm currently enjoying a score lead of almost 1000. But sadly my opponent now has a fair few crossbowmen and his has ballistics, which makes it rather difficult for my petard to close the distance. I tried to put down the third castle, but this fails horribly. I also noticed that he snuck out and added a castle of his own. Now I have to put all of my attention on this new castle, because if he manages to reach Imperial Age and make trebuchets, my chance of winning the game will be rather slim. I try repeatedly to suicide charge the castle, but to little avail. He's smart enough to wall it in and has archers to snipe me before I can even get close. Eventually the trebs come out and I lose one of my castles, and I feel obligated to throw in the towel. In the second game I'm once again playing as the Saracens. My castle time this time around is not as good as the first game, but even so my castle goes up and the petards are rolling out. My opponent was smart to wall the inside of his wall with buildings here, which slows down my rush towards the TC, but at least it makes enough room for me to make a second castle. There is a small panic moment here where he almost counter masterpieces me and converts one of my petards and attacks my castle with it. But fortunately my castle already has enough HP to withstand the blast. The red player tries to put down a castle in defense, but my second wave of petards blow it up before it's even allowed to be called a Doubt Castle. He buys a new castle, and sadly my third wave of petards is just one or two petards too short and his castle goes up. Stays up, and he even repairs it so I can't just run in and snipe it again. Now choosing another angle of attack, I come in from the north, and I manage to blow up his starting TC, and hilariously enough, this turns out to be the TC that he's going up to imp with. But once again, instead of being tilted and resigning, my opponent just rebuilds the TC like nothing ever happened. I send in yet another wave of petards at the same time as I try to put down a third castle. But I notice that he now has a force of cavalry and I'm scared to put it too deep into his base. I almost managed to blow up the TC a second time, but once again I'm just one or two petards too short. My opponent has now reached the Imperial Age and he starts making trebs, but I managed to blow up his castle once again, and I even managed to take down the trebs with it. At the same time I managed to get another castle up and take down his TC once again. He managed to get up another castle, but it's short-lived and I once again blow it up with my elite suicide squad. Another TC disappears on the map and I endure a 500 point score lead, and for a moment it looks like we're winning the game. But sadly, my opponent makes the very reasonable decision to wall his last castle. He makes some trebs and even blocks my petards with cavalry. I feel this is a bit of cheating as my petards have bad pathfinding as it is. He now has a large force of cavalry and trebs that I can't do much about, and he makes short work of my castles, and I feel that was a really close one, but alas, no cigar. The last game is sent to us by Brix. Brix is playing as the Petards, so maybe we'll see some flaming camels this game for the ultimate masterpiece. The game mode is Empire Wars, and we're playing on Water Nomad. From the challenge perspective, this is quite smart from Brix, because he can now produce exploding units from the docks as well. We know how chaotic Nomad can be, and it's tricky to cover everything, so let's just summarize the game by doing another Brix montage. Brix makes demos go boom, and down goes Blue's units. In the end, Brix has a 2-to-1 kill death ratio, which is, considering that his suicide units are guaranteed to die, rather impressive. After Blue gets another big demo shot off on his knights, he leaves without saying GG, maybe slightly tilted. Thank you for your contribution, Brix. That's sadly all I had for you this week. I tried several times to make my Petard rush work, but all of the games ended up in a very similar fashion, and I didn't feel the need to show essentially identical games. They say you should never go full Petard, and I'm starting to see why. I want to thank you for watching this week's episode of Monday Madness. If you haven't already, feel free to give this video a like, and remember to subscribe not to miss out on future videos. In the description of this video, you will find the links to my social media where I will be posting when the next video is uploaded. Should you like to take part in the next video, you can also join my Discord where I will be posting the next week's strategy. Bye for now and have a